Welcome back to another episode of Story Behind the Story. John Walker here, this time joined by Katie. Katie, thank you for joining us today. She wrote a story about some of the recent floods that have happened throughout the Midwest and how that has affected students of our own community. So, Katie, kind of give me a little brief rundown about your article.
Yeah, so we originally brought the story because we actually even have people on staff who live in Nebraska. And basically there's been so much snow and just storms overall in even Nebraska and then up further, like in the Dakotas and stuff, that it's caused all these smaller rivers and then the Missouri River to flood. And we have a large population of students that come from like Nebraska, Iowa, and right now it's even starting to hit St. Joe. So we decided that this is a really big thing that's happening, and it's affecting a lot of students on campus. So it was just trying to show like what the flooding is and how it's affecting people and students.
Yeah, absolutely. And then spring break's coming up. Some of these kids not fortunate enough to be able to go home in Nebraska, Iowa, places like that. What is the university doing to kind of help them out? Are they doing anything that you know of?
I believe that some res halls are leaving their dorms open over spring break so people can stay there and can stay in the res halls over break. I also know that just overall Northwest is a huge community, so a lot of students who can't go home for spring break, they have friends who are always just like letting them crash on their couch or letting them stay wherever they can. But the res halls have kind of jumped into action and said, we're going to leave our dorms open for anyone who needs it. Attests
to how, like you said, it's one of the beautiful things about our campus is how big of a community it actually is and how they show that. You got a chance to talk to some people. How difficult was it to kind of hold yourself back from being emotional, seeing how emotional that some of these people were?
It can be tough. I talked to a couple of different people. A lot of people, like especially in Nebraska, haven't been directly affected, but the towns around them have been. There was one girl I talked to from La Vista, Nebraska, and she told me she can literally hear the helicopters just going around to rescue people. And then a girl I talked from Papillion, Iowa, her family was lucky enough to get out in time, but her house is currently surrounded by water. It's just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you had to pick one of the things that you could advise anybody to kind of help any of these students, what would you send a message to them saying?
I would just say do whatever you can and whatever you can donate. If you can donate clothes, food, or your time, just donate whatever you can and whatever means you have, because it's bigger than a lot of people are realizing. It's intense. There are towns completely underwater. There's some towns that are just completely islands now. And like I said, it could hit us pretty soon even. So just be there for your fellow Bearcats and for your fellow community members and just help out where you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. That's going to wrap things up for this episode of Story Behind the Story. Make sure to check out the full article for everything that you need to know. Like I said, that's going to wrap it up right here on the KNWT Channel 8 YouTube exclusive.